Direct taxes versus indirect taxes. During the Constitutional Convention, there was a lot of discussion about the method of taxation. In the book, The Founders' Constitution, Volume 2, on page 97, Mr. Madison makes this point. Under the proposed government, the powers of the states will be much further reduced. According to the views of every member, the general government will have powers far beyond those exercised by the British Parliament when the states were part of the British Empire. It will in particular have the power, without the consent of the state legislators, to levy money directly on the people themselves, and therefore not divest such unequal portions of the people as composed in the several states of an equal voice, would subject the system to the reproaches and evils which have resulted from the vicious representation in Great Britain. He entreated the gentlemen representing the small states to renounce a principle which was confessedly unjust, which could never be admitted, and if admitted would infuse mortality into a constitution which we wished to last forever. That was Mr. Madison on June the 29th, 1787. In essence, he says the federal direct taxes on the people would result in abuse of the people. He maintained that indirect taxes should be leveled on the people through direct taxes on the states. The final outcome was that the shortfalls in the revenue of the federal government should be made up by the states in proportion to the population of the state. When the Constitution was originally written, in Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 3, it stated, "Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within the Union, according to their respective numbers." Then on July the 9th, 1868, Section 2 of the 14th Amendment, the paragraph was changed to "Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers." You notice the change. 3 words were omitted: and direct taxes. This was a major step in changing the Constitution to place direct federal tax on the people. There were several attempts to get an income tax on the people during the last half of the 1800s, but all were defeated because the Constitution says in Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 1, "The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States, but all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States," which clearly states taxes must be uniform throughout the United States. And then Article 1, Section 9, Paragraph 4 goes on to say, "No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration therein before directed to be taken." There the words "in proportion" were the sticky points. No tax was constitutional if laid on the people unless it was uniform throughout the country and was in proportion to the population. This clearly prevented a tax directly on the people and protected us from excessive taxes by the federal government. But this did not deter those who wanted a tax on the people. There was a group of people in the background that wanted the government to spend and spend and spend and borrow when there was not enough money in the treasury. The borrowing had to be in such a way that there was an interest attached, and that interest must be paid by the people, as the states would not stand for it. Enter the 16th Amendment on February the 3rd, 1913, which is as follows. "The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived, without apportionment among the several states, and without regard to any census or enumeration." Notice the phrase, "without regard to any census or enumeration." This is the part of the amendment which allows a direct tax on the people and destroys the protection of abusive taxation established by the founders. The Constitution was now changed to allow the government abusive powers, and the comments of Madison mentioned above have been fulfilled. But we must notice the sequence of what happened. From the 14th Amendment deleted that part about direct taxation. Second, the senators and the states' powers had to be curtailed. Enter the 17th Amendment on April the 8th, 1913, which states the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state elected by the people thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Now the states lost all their power in the federal government. They were one of the 2 powers that established the Constitution in the first place. They were one of the 2 parents of the document and the Union, and now they've been exiled from the family. The stage is now set for the 3rd step in this insidious plan. This part of the plan happened in December of 1913, when during the Christmas holidays the Congress quietly passed a bill authorizing the Federal Reserve with powers to create the money of the United States and control the value of that money. That completes the plan to have the people on the hook for the massive debt that was planned and the interest payments that would be required. The plan has worked out extremely well for these fiends. Now we have a debt just short of $20 trillion, with current interest payments in the neighborhood of $400 billion every year. By the way, these interest payments are met either with money paid out of the Treasury or borrowed. That borrowing creates money in the economy and causes inflation. So we pay in both taxes and inflation constantly every day out of the wealth we work hard to build. The weight of this debt drags our economy down as our production is sapped to all that would pay it. All of this would never have happened if we just kept the original Constitution as the supreme law of the land.